such an honor to be here and just share this space. I always say that every gathering is a divine gathering, so there's no mistake that every single one of us in this room here today was meant to be here today. And I just thank you for letting me be part of this. But as soon as I heard, and don't mind me, I've got some notes here just to keep me on track, right? There's so much that I could say and talk about on the theme of resilience and learning and from our experiences and how we truly gain something from every experience, no matter how painful. And it made so much sense to me once I learned about this event, and when Danielle asked me to join it, it's like, oh yes, this is a perfect fit. I could talk all day about this, but I will do my best to stick to my notes so we can get going and get into the crafting. But before we do, I'd like to just share a little bit about myself and hopefully some inspiration. And as I share parts of my story, I hope and I'm sure that you will be able to relate, to resonate, and perhaps you're picturing different parts of your own story that were perhaps some of the most painful, the darkest ones that maybe you don't like to look back on. But may today you be able to shine some light on those moments and be able to look at them from a new perspective, from a more healed perspective, and realize I needed all of this to be the amazing person that I am today. So that said, she already mentioned I'm the author of the Daisy Diaries, so that is a 20-year memoir of my life that I've got sitting here. I'm also co-author of the Volume 4 of The Ancestors Within, the Opening the Channel to Write Your Story e-course, workbook, and oracle card deck. So as you can imagine, once I shared my story, it sparked a new passion to help other people share their stories, which is why I love resilience stories so much. And when they asked me to share an article, I was, of course, yes. You are doing exactly what I'm doing on another level of really reaching out and helping people share their stories so we can all learn and grow and heal together. That's what this is all about. So you might be able to guess by all of the titles alone, of what I've said already, that I love being able to share stories together and healing wisdom with each other. And I hope we all get to do that today. So long before I first published the Daisy Diaries in 2022, I had already taken a huge career leap from actually manufacturing engineer to certified yoga instructor and wellness coach. And essentially that went hand in hand with my personal healing path and taking a leap to a brand new journey as a healer. So from there, I studied, trained, and eventually became an attuned Reiki master and certified sound healer. And today, most of my work is through intuitive life coaching, where I burst with joy every day because I get to dive deep with individual clients into their specific or variety of healing modalities that work the best for them. And I also love to gather divine groups just like this one and host monthly full moon mini retreats, and I teach restorative yoga over at Studio Soul here in Billings, which is what connected me with Danielle and Leah. But back to our tree of life. From what you've heard of me so far, maybe just from what you see, it might sound like my tree has grown beautifully and naturally into the healing work I do now, but trust me, and as Danielle and maybe a couple of you that have read my story before, you know that's far from true, that my tree of life has grown far from linear or smooth. My tree has nearly been torn apart and completely uprooted through the relentless storms of life. It turned gray and ugly. I nearly cut it down myself. Yet I'm here today, smiling in front of you to tell you that no matter how many earth-shaking storms that your own tree has weathered, no matter how many leaves or branches you have lost along the way, the light of the sun will always return to heal and sustain your growth, as long as you're willing to believe it. And trust me, it doesn't matter how many times you don't believe, because like I said, for me, my tree was beaten and pounded down so many times by the age of 18 that I lost all belief together. So back in the early 2000s, I was a young and lost, reckless teenager at that time before the trauma, barely surviving just the drama of teenage relationships, of underage partying, and that reckless kind of path. So the last thing ever on my mind was the impact of fatal or life-changing accidents. So when my life literally became a front-page newspaper tragedy of my then boyfriend's paralysis at age 16, and again at the age of 17, after hardly surviving a car accident that took another life, to say the least, that year alone was the rudest awakening I could ever imagine. I couldn't imagine that for many, many years after, left me stricken with intense heartbreak, guilt, and grief. It's taken decades, might even admit, perhaps even to this day, to recognize and really grasp, to recognize how much being thrown straight into the storms as I was back then truly developed my inner resilience. It just felt like I was totally falling apart at the time, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that at different points in your life too. But I didn't know yet then that by hitting rock bottom, my roots were actually digging deeper. That my perceived weakest moments were actually strengthening my trunk. And that each morning that I chose to get up again, I was building more perseverance. So back then, I was just crawling through the motions, facing what I had no choice but to face. Perhaps you can relate. Those days that you just, it might seem like, impossible just to get yourself out of bed on some of these days, right? Though I knew how many times I wanted to give up, and I was very close to doing that, I didn't know yet that each day I chose to stay on this earth and face my circumstances. I was building immense strength that would lead me not only through the grief of those accidents, but through many other challenges, opportunities, and pure miracles ahead. And Sharon smiles at me because I know she knows my first miracle was the birth of my daughter, Jalen, which became my undeniable experience of divine timing. Though initially, my pregnancy at 18, talk about consecutive years of unexpected surprises, my pregnancy at 18 appeared to be the answer to how could things possibly get worse? I couldn't deny the wild coincidence of my due date, though, which was my daughter's actual birth date. My daughter Jalen was born 2 days before the anniversary of that fatal car accident that changed my life. And I brought her home on the anniversary of that accident, where I had originally planned to kill myself if I made it that far. So instead of committing suicide on that first accident anniversary like I planned, I brought home new life. And if that isn't divine intervention, then I don't know what is. So a new branch was grown on my tree, and she helped me reach back upwards towards the hope and the future, and away from my own self-destruction. So much to my surprise, even, my pregnancy actually sparked my personal spiritual journey. I immediately felt this comforting connection with this unknown life growing inside me, knowing I was once solely focused and so zoomed in my own little world and all of my, drama and problems. I was suddenly deeply connected and literally undetachable from another life. So I could not deny the physical connection of that life inside me and that bond with this unborn life that I instinctively knew was coming to save my own life. And that sense, it gave me the first real sense of a connection to God, to even, acknowledging that God even existed. And it was so strong and powerful that I couldn't deny that I was connected to a higher power greater than me. And once I felt that, I had to continue exploring down this spiritual path to see what else was out there and to see what healing, what freedom was out there that I had been missing. So what did I find? For me, first it was yoga. It was a simple practice I found while I was in college that became my personal bridge through the physical to the non-physical. The physical practice, I describe myself as a recovering busybody. So yoga for me was my outlet to get my physical body to slow down, to reconnect with my breath. It helped me tune out from all the external distractions I thought I was seeking. As I mentioned, I chased the American dream for a moment and thinking I had to become an engineer and prove myself and, overcome, all of the drama, all of the gossip of the accidents that I was involved in. And I was seeking outside of myself for so long and not giving it to myself within. And my yoga practice helped me go back in there to my inner world. I finally noticed the signs and blessings that my angels were sending me, including the daisies that sprinkle my story. However, it took me many more years and the ultimate loss of my life, the unexpected heart attack of my father, to truly recognize the importance of making my own self-care and stress relief priority number one. After the biggest loss, like I said, I was 25 when my father passed. And the most obvious and loving signs that he sent from beyond, again, I could not deny. And God bless it, it helped me stay focused. I've got to take care of myself now. Or am I going to end up leaving early from a heart attack? By stressing myself out in my body, my mind, so much. Will I work myself to death too before I retire? Or am I going to slow down and take care of myself now? So from there, I determinedly studied deeper into the science of stress, the importance of our conscious breathing, and deeper forms of meditation. I learned about the chakras and energy healing like Reiki, which led to the Reiki attunements, and even the healing vibrations of sound, which I do a lot of sound baths now, and I love it so much. It's such a healing. I describe it as almost like a biohack of helping our body slow down our mind when we have a really hard time doing so. And the more I learned, healed, and grew, the more I couldn't contain my urge to help shine light for others' healing. So in 2019 was when I took the official leap away from engineering and founded my wellness business, which is called J. Ray Wellness, named after my daughter, Jalen Ray. So like you already know, I have no doubt that each step of my journey, the timing of my painstaking losses and healing discoveries, all forming new rings on my own tree, were nothing short of divine, just like all of us being here today. We're all meant to hear this. I'm sure all of you can imagine your own tree of life and how it's grown, the storms that have almost blown you down over the years. But may you trust that all of it was nothing short of divine. You can see me standing here today with a smile on my face, knowing that my loved ones, my guides and angels are always near, and that as long as I continue to take care of myself and to keep reaching upwards, the light of the sun will always return. I was able to see that no matter how terrible your circumstances can be, no matter how much we are dragging on rock bottom, it is never too late. There is always a gift of new light hidden underneath it all. So each branch of my journey, and I trust that each branch of your journeys will allow you to heal old wounds. And as you make your trees today, celebrating this, to grow new branches, new colorful leaves as the seasons change, and continue to trust that there will always be a new light and hope to reach for, if you're willing to look for it. So, may you celebrate every aspect of your own tree of life today, including all the good, the bad, and the ugly. It all made the perfection that you are today. May you honor all the roots you've grown deeply into the soil, your strong trunk that held you stable through every unpredictable year, and the resilient branches that allow you to bend with each breeze and blizzard like we just got with the return of winter the last 24 hours. So as we create together today and carry on beyond tomorrow, may we all continue to reach higher with love and excitement for your future. Thank you all for having me here, and I hope this just fills you up with inspiration to really honor every part of your tree as you create them today.
Thank you. Thank you.